Hello, bienvenidos, welcome back to my channel. As you guys can see from the title, today I'm doing a little bit of a different review way. I'm trying to be more creative when it comes to my reviews so I don't have the same repetitiveness and bore you guys. But today I want to do a quick overview of two palettes and see if I were to go back in time, which palette would I choose over which one? So obviously, as you guys can see, we are going to compare and review the Menagerie Sugar High palette, which is this one right over here, this beautiful palette, as well as the Clionadh Cosmetics Dragon Fruit palette that is in collaboration with Emily Violet Marie. And this is what this one looks like. So if this is something that interests you, here we go. If you're new, welcome. Alejandra, go by Alex, eyeshadow enthusiast with a Dash Project Pan. If you want to continue to see that on your feed, subscribe and join us. And now let's get on with this comparison and review. Okay, so let's start out with the Menagerie Sugar High palette. This is a pressed pigment and eyeshadow palette, so you guys know. It comes with a mirror. Obviously, this is the size of it, as you guys can see in my hand. I can give you guys a little overview of it if you are familiar with Menagerie Cosmetics palettes. This is the first time that they're doing a little bits of things that are different. This cover is actually not glossy, which typically it is glossy, which surprises me. The color story is beautiful on this one. And we do have a mirror. Now, this is the first time they are doing round pans. They typically do square pans, and now going forward, and any type of palette they're doing will be round pans. They find it to be a little bit better when it comes to shipping, and most people prefer round pans. I don't care either way, you guys. Honestly, I really don't care about square pans, rectangle. As long as it looks aesthetically pleasing and I like the color story and the formula, I'm good to go. Okay, so this palette right here, I just covered the mirrors so then you guys wouldn't be blind. So this palette right here retails for $45 US dollars. Obviously, like I mentioned, this is the first time that they're doing round pans on here. There's a total of 18 grams of product in this palette. There is a misprint on the back of this palette. It says 16, but in reality it is 18 grams in total. There are 12 shades, as you guys can see. We have a mixture of mattes and metallics in this one. This palette does not have any duochromes. Their last palette does have duochromes, but this one does not. I will obviously share with you guys a swatch of this palette. This is a beautiful palette. I have no complaints whatsoever. I've done many looks and I've used every single shadow on my eyes, so I can attest to see how they all work. The mattes are gorgeous. I personally really appreciate that they threw in Joey and Furry Friend, which can really ground your look if you do not want a very vibrant or pastel type of look. You're getting two pastel mattes right over here, and then you're getting two bright mattes. So I think they really thought this through, and I really appreciated it. So you're getting your neutrals, your most neutrals here, your pastels and brights, and then you're getting all the metallics in between, which are beautiful. My goodness gracious, they're gorgeous. I can't say I like one more than the other, honestly. I think they all are gorgeous. They all perform really well on my eyes. Again, I would not recommend a tacky base with a pressed pigment formula because it will stick and be patchy and hard to blend out. But I had no complaints about this one. This is beautiful. It is smaller than your typical palettes. It does have the round pans, which is a little bit different. And I believe these are magnetic, so you can pop these out just like any other palette that they've had in the past. I really like the actual cover of this. This is really, really pretty. It's really nice, and it has a different feel from their typical ones that they have. So overall, this is a good palette, and it is made in the US, by the way, so if you are curious about that one. There is no duds in this palette at all, and this one doesn't have like those duochrome metallic-y shades, so if you're looking for that, this is not the palette for you. You're not going to get any shifting shades, but you will get amazing color payoff, and you're getting a palette that will give you multiple different looks, including in the finishes as far as pastels, brights, or more neutrals over here. So you're getting a little bit of everything, which I genuinely appreciate. Beautiful palette. I love this one. And it is smaller and to the point, which is what I like. I like this. If I'm going to pick a colorful palette, this is one that I would choose. Now let's move on to the Dragon palette before I compare both of them and let you guys know which one would I choose if I could turn back time. So this is the Dragon Fruit palette by Clionadh. This is an Emily Violet Marie collab. Now this palette is hard plastic. It is hardcore. This thing is super heavy. You get this nice color in the back of it, which I really, really like. Now, this one comes, as you can see right here, it does come in a collection. I only got the eyeshadow palette because you guys know that's all that I wanted. Okay, so when it comes to the packaging, I feel like this is a well put together package for a palette. I love the outside of it. I love that this color goes through and it's not just clear in here. It's like, it reminds me of the 90s when you had that clear neon furniture and accessories. That's what that reminds me of. It's really pretty and it's very heavy duty. So when it came to shipping, it came in perfect condition. Now this palette is made in Canada. Obviously it's a Canadian indie brand. So you are going to, if you don't live in Canada, you're obviously going to be paying a little bit more for it. And the thing that I find interesting with this brand is that whenever you visit this palette on their website, every day it may be a different price. And what I mean by that is that they have the price set according to what the exchange rate is. So I looked at, as I'm sitting down filming it, I looked at the price of the palette and it is $59.26. That is, I believe, a little bit more than what I ended up paying on the day that this launched. I believe, I can't remember exactly, but it will fluctuate by a few pennies. It might fluctuate by a few dimes. I don't know what the fluctuation, obviously every day, the exchange rate is different. So what I pay today could be something completely different from what somebody's paying 2 days later. So it's not a set price with this palette, which is a negative and a positive at the same time. I guess it depends on what day you buy it. You do have to pay for shipping with this one as well as the Menagerie one, but it wasn't extremely bad. I didn't pay as much as I thought I would pay for this palette, so I'm not complaining about it. Shipping was fast. This is my first time buying from Clionadh, so far my experience with Clionadh has been amazing. But again, I was on top of this launch because I knew it was going to go quick, and that's why I experienced it a little bit better, because I think if I would have ordered it now, I may have a little bit more of a delay with these with this palette itself. Now this palette comes with 13 shadows. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't like that number, then you know how some people like even numbers, odd numbers. But this palette has 13 shadows, and this palette comes with a vibrant microchrome, a glitter type iridescent multi-chrome, 2 sparkles, 2 duochromes, 3 metallics, and 4 velvet satin. So you're ending up getting 6 different finishes in one single palette. Now, the reason why I purchased this palette, one was because it's a beautiful color story. It's very, very beautiful and neon, and I just love it. But I also wanted to try out the Clionadh formula, and this palette gave me the opportunity to try that many finishes in one setting, and I don't have to pay an arm and a leg for each individual single shade. You know what I mean? Like it's just too expensive to buy them individually. So I felt like this was the best way to buy and try a formula from them. Now I've played around with all of these shades and they are beautiful. I will tell you that the 4 satins that are in this palette, which are, let me look at my notes here. Strawberry Peak. We have Sweetened, Prickly, and this shade right here, which I had to say, I don't know how to even say that. That one's a really hard one. They can perform as a matte. Currently today, I am actually wearing Sweetened on my outer V, and it blends really nicely, and it looks like a soft matte on my eyes. It doesn't look like a metallic on here. Obviously, I've shared with you guys swatches of this palette at this point, so you guys can see. This is that crumbly shadow, which is this one. This is the only one that is like a crumbly shade. This one is your glitter type iridescent multi-chrome. So this one you're going to have fallout with if you are not careful with it. Do not dig into this palette. I'm going to make that very clear. Do not dig your fingers or brushes into this palette. It is not needed. You're going to make a hot mess on your face and you're going to ruin your shadow because these are soft, where your brush, it doesn't matter what brush you put in here, it's still going to be too rough for this kind of formula. So I think fingers is good. And if you're using brushes, you just bounce it in here gently. Don't swirl. I've only bounced in here. And even when I swatch this palette, I have grazed over these shades and not like swirled my finger on there. As you can obviously see that some of them still have the imprint and some of them don't have the imprint when it comes to this eyeshadow palette. Now, the color story of this is gorgeous. You can go bright, you can go soft. Some of these obviously are duochromes, multi-chromes. So you're going to get so many different dimensions, so many different looks, so many different feels on this palette. You may not get bored by this. And someone who owns so many eyeshadow palettes, I really don't own anything like this. Nothing like this where it gives me this many finishes and this color story. This is super unique to my collection. One of my favorite purchases I've gotten this year because it is so unique and so different from anything that I own and I've tried. So I actually really am happy that I bit the bullet because in total, this palette cost me $75. $75. That's more than a Natasha Denona palette. Because Natasha Denona, I buy her palettes off of her website and it's free shipping. So I only pay $65. I paid more for this one than I did for a Natasha Denona. So I was hoping that I would like this palette because it costs so much more than a Natasha Denona palette. But I will say I do like it. Is it for my everyday looks? If I want it, no. But I still feel like I can get away with many looks on this palette and not feel like it's this vibrant and neon. It doesn't have to be this vibrant and neon on your eyes. As I've mentioned before, it depends on how soft and how gentle you are with your looks. Start slowly, don't build up too much because then that's where you're going to come up with a very bold look versus a very soft look. Okay, so here are both palettes put together. Now, I wanted to just let you guys know, I don't regret either one of these purchases. You guys know that Menagerie is one of my favorite brands, and I am new to Clionadh, so this is my first time trying this palette. But if I were to go back in time, which one would I choose over which one? Honestly, you guys, I still would buy both. Because that's just me. I would honestly buy both. But if I were to recommend one for another, this is how I would do it. If you're somebody who wants all those different shifts, all those different formulas, wants the brightness, but you can still kind of soften it up, and you don't mind either adding your own mattes to your look if you don't want to use these mattes, I would go with this one. I would go with this one because you're going to get a lot of different variety, a lot of different shifts on your eyes, a lot of different finishes on your eyes. So this one's a lot more versatile, a lot more fun, a lot more, it gives you a lot more than what this one does as far as finishes go. Now this one will give you your mattes where you don't have to reach in other palettes, but this one, when it comes to their mattes, are giving you different kind of tones. They're giving you the brights, they're giving you the pastels, and they're giving you neutrals to work with. So it all depends on your own personal preference. If you're on the fence with one of these two, you're getting only metallics in here, but you're getting all these fun shifting shades over here. You will also pay a lot more for this one. Even if you live in Canada, I believe this one is pretty expensive, even more than this one. So it all depends on what you like. Both of these are vegan. They're both talc-free. They're both cruelty-free. So if that is something that's been holding you back on either one of these two, both of them carry that. This one actually has 2 more grams worth of product than this one. This one has 16 grams of product in total. This one has 18 grams of product in total. So you are getting 2 more grams in the Menagerie Cosmetics palette. Menagerie only comes with 12 shades and this one comes with 13 shades, but you're getting more product in here if that is something that you are debating on as far as your product goes. For me, the only time that I care how many grams are in an eyeshadow palette is if I'm gonna fully use up the whole entire palette. Am I getting my money's worth out of all the grams? That's the only way that I actually care about the weight and the grams of products, is if I'm gonna fully use it up and how long will it last me to use it up. But I just wanted to put it out there because there are people that do want to know that. So you guys, I don't know. I love both. I genuinely love both. And the fun part is I've been mixing both of these palettes together and coming up with some fun variety palettes, adding these mattes in with these. But I'm even using these as my mattes and my transitional shades. So I am not feeling like I'm missing too many mattes here, but I am like the mattes or the ones that kind of look like mattes in here that work as mattes lean towards more pink and purple looks than they do anything else. Like this is the only two down here that are green. So I do pull in some of these over here to help me out with this one. So that's it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of review. I think I got over everything. If I forgot anything, it'll be in the description box, or I have popped it up on the screen for you guys, because, you know, typically when I do these things, I write down my notes, but then sometimes I forget what I want to talk about. But I love both of these. I don't think that I regret or I think that I should have skipped out on either one of these two palettes. I think both of these palettes bring something unique to the table, and I love them. I love Menagerie. This is my first time with Clionadh, and if Clionadh continues to do palettes, I think I'm more keen to buying their palettes than I am their singles, because I feel like I'm getting more money, more bang for my buck than I am getting with singles. I reach for palettes more than I do with singles, and that's another thing and another reason why I have yet to buy anything from Clionadh, because I reach for palettes more than I do singles. So if they want to fill in a gap in their business for people who like palettes, I'd be one of them to support them for that. But as of right now, if they don't do any more palettes, this is what I'm sticking to. And I believe this one's limited edition. This one is not. And this one, according to the demand, they'll bring it back for another restock. If not, then when they're done their pre-sales, I believe, or their pre-orders, then that's when this one will be gone. So we'll see what happens with Clionadh. I'm going to keep an eye on them, because I do hope they continue to make palettes, because I do feel like there is a niche for that in their brand that a lot of people would love, because it is more affordable for many people. Just like Viseart made smaller palettes to help with that, the cost. I feel like if Clionadh would do that, I'd be on board and buying them more. So that's it, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the videos on the screen. Until then, adios.